Hey, what's up guys, Scythe here. Believe it or not, it has been 1 year since my first video that I made a World of Warcraft video. So I thought I would do a little throwback and come check out some World of Warcraft patch 5.0 on the PTR and do a little guide about it. Star Wars is currently a little slow, and I didn't think that there would be a better game out there to do a 1 year video on than where it all started, World of Warcraft. So I hope you enjoy this guide. I'm going to show some of the Death Knight changes, some of the macros, how things have changed from back then, or 4.3 really, is when the last time I did a guide. So I'll show you a lot of the updates, and I hope you enjoy this guide. Alright, so some of the first major changes you'll see with patch 5.0. Basically it's going to be the patch preceding the new expansion. Should have it for a few weeks before the September release. Maybe even more than that. So you'll get to play around with all these new abilities, patch 5.0 before the expansion. So to start off, we have basically they've redone the talent system, which at first I'm really skeptical about this. I'm not really sure if I like this, but as I've tested with it and played with it a little bit, it's actually a great idea, and it's going to diversify character to character a little bit more than just getting on elite jerks or thoughtbot and just copying a spec. You'll be able to adjust your abilities for different comps and arenas, different PvE situations. So overall I think it's a good change. It would be cool for them to later add more abilities each tier. We'll see what they do in updates or next expansions. But I kind of like the system a little bit better than just cookie cutter builds, which this may end up turning into that. Don't get me wrong, it could do that, but for now it looks pretty promising. For the first tier, this kind of tier's a little bit PvE-ish. You really don't have much to choose from. You can get your Blood Bowl ability, spread your pestilence. That's really a tanking ability, or PvE. There's really not a lot to choose from here. And basically, this one I really wish they'd change. It's basically useless because it's giving you a death rune, but it's taking away 2 abilities, which if you don't have Outbreak, some may consider this a waste. So really you have Unholy Blight, which this is one of the first tiers that is really may need some adjusting to make this more viable for different situations. Unholy Blight is going to give you more damage, AoE, 1.5 second cooldown. I have this link to my Outbreak. Basically my Outbreak is a 2-minute cooldown, so when I use that it'll use Unholy Blight, get some more damage out. Just so I don't have to micromanage another ability, macro some of these together. In the 57 tier, you have a few options here that will be dependent on what kind of comp you run. You have Anti-Magic Shell, which is a group thing that your group can stand in. You could use it for a peel on your healer. PvE, you could use this for different raid mechanics to group up, absorb some of that damage. You could change it depending on the fight, if you need that for your group or not. Lichborne, of course, is really good. It gets you out of fear, charm effects. This also, heals you for a ridiculous amount. Let me get some runic power and I'll show you the changes to it.
That's still recharging. That ability isn't ready. I can't do that. Not ready.
Alright, so with full runic power, I think they've just adjusted a little bit for this to go off level 90 to heal you a little bit. Of course I have a macro for this to auto target me. So 36k heal, and of course you can keep spamming the dummy and heal for more than just 2 times. So you can get that off 4 times, basically full life, 36k. This is just pre-patch expansion, so it may seem a little overpowered because you can heal yourself to full with how it's scaled for patch 5.0. At level 90 that may not be the case. This is kind of a cool ability. I haven't done a lot of testing with this. I would like to maybe try this a little bit more. Um, Lichborne is, I've just gotten so used to using it for, self-healing during battlegrounds, but maybe I would use this if, I was running a certain comp in Arena. It's definitely viable between these three. This is probably one of the better tiers. I'm still not 100% sold on that. I'll have to do some more trying out. I'll let you guys know what I find on it. Haven't done a lot of investigating on that, but arenas, I'm kind of thinking it may be viable. The next pack is kind of 58 is really dependent on your comp or what you're playing, if you're PvEing or whatnot. Basically, right now I have Death Advance, and basically this increases your movement speed. Slowing effects can't take you below 70%, but it also has a use which for a few seconds, 6 seconds, it makes you 100%. You can't be taken below 100%, and you gain 30% movement speed. So I really like this. Depending on your comp in Arena, let's say, if you have slows or other abilities, on your partner that uses a lot, and you really don't need a range slow. This is definitely awesome because you can pop this right when you pop your one-shot macro and all your cooldowns to get some ridiculous uptime on your target. So this is definitely going to help DKs with their uptime on targets, and it's really awesome. Just depending on the comp, though, if you don't have a team with a range snare, you still have Chains of Ice, which is a decent slow. So Chillbane's just kind of dependent on the comp. And this, of course, if you have a partner that has a silence, and you're worried about DR, and you're worried about different things like that in your comp, just to make it easier, it'll stun the target 5 seconds if it's immune to silences. So this whole tier is also very good with just depending on what you're playing. Of course, you wouldn't use this on PvE. It'd be more of an arena style thing or a battleground. The other two you could use in PvE and PvP, so it's kind of preference on this tier. Death Pack, I'm really not liking this tier. Death Pack is just so overpowered. It's 50% of the maximum health, basically, is what it comes down to. It's ridiculous. Like, it basically comes out to, it just heals basically half your life to full when it comes down to it, and how everything works out with the numbers. It's just a major cooldown. Like, if your healer was getting CC'd, you have a huge heal at your disposal, big cooldowns. That's one thing I've noticed with Death Knights in this patch, running BGs. Of course, it's not level 90, but it seems like we do have better survivability. They changed the presences up. It seems like going into Blood Presence more viable when we're getting hit really hard. It definitely, another change you'll see in the presence is the reduced crowd control effects by 20%, which is awesome for PvE. It's really going to be back to, if you're Frost, use Frost. If you're Unholy, use Unholy. If you're Blood, use Blood. But you'll still have the option to go in the Blood Presence to survive a little bit better. And I've noticed it is a little bit more viable because you can get a glyph that will retain 70% of your runic power when you change presences. So overall survivability is a little bit stronger now, and I definitely think Death Pack is pretty much a must. The other two may be more of an Unholy type of setup to use these two, but for Frost, Death Pack is just too big of a major cooldown. It's just ridiculous. I'm really not sure how that's going to work out at level 90. With just how powerful it is. I mean, it's just a massive heal. The next tier, they've kind of nerfed this. I think on the beta servers, this is a little bit different, these two tiers. So just kind of stay tuned for this and keep watching it. But for right now, Runic Corruption is the only viable thing. Like I said, these are really good. Some of the tiers, they did a really good job on making it viable for different situations. You would change it depending on your comp you're running. Some of them still need work, but that's expected. The last tier, you basically get a AoE Death Grip on 1 minute cooldown. Remorseless Winner, which I think is ridiculously cool. if you have a silence, you're basically getting a stun, which in PvE it's going to be reduced from that 5 seconds. But it's basically going to slow your targets when they're standing next to you, and it stacks, and they end up taking the stun after they've absorbed so many stacks. So, I mean, a lot of people may like Desecrated Ground, which is also really good, but I'm leaning towards this, because with Death's Advance, you're basically going to be up on the target. You could pop that and pop this Remorseless Winter, and you have full uptime on the target. They can't slow you, they can't get away from the winner, and they're getting slowed by it, and you'll get that stun off. So that's two combinations you have to look right there that really work good together. But you do have some other options here. This is not a completely one-sided tier. Glyphs, on the other hand, glyphs, they've changed around. You still have your anti-magic shell absorption. They got rid of the duration, which kind of sucks. You still have your silence increase. Really, this last thing, that's kind of the weak sauce, victory rush there. You have a few other options you can do. You can do a Death Coil shield to put a barrier on, a friendly target. You have the Icebound. You have a few. You have a dispellable Icy Touch. I'm not going to go over all these. You can see these on the main MOP site and go over them a little bit better. I'm just trying to touch the main ones. There's the regeneration, retain 70% of your runic power that I was talking about. So they still kept a few of the sorry ones. They got rid of most of our major ones, because mainly most of the stuff you're used to has been put into passive abilities inside your spellbook. So you're really not losing a lot of stuff in the glyphs, but there's really not a lot of great options in the glyphs. And like I said, you can check out all the glyphs and different specialization stuff. I'm not going to get into all the spell books and all the passive abilities that came from the old talents. You can check that out on the main MOP site. Alright guys, we are on our way to the training dummy. I had forgotten they had not updated the training dummies there in the Death Knight layer. So they're only a level 90 training dummy there, so I'm going to go find a level 85 training dummy. That's pretty much going to do it for most of the major changes to the talents though. I wanted to go over some stats that have changed. Of course, resilience has changed. You have improved basically resilience. They give you a base number so the people with PvE gear don't get blown up as much. But this is just some general stat changes to Death Knight gear. You're going to find a lot of your old gear has been adjusted. The stats have been tweaked. First thing you'll notice is lower hit points. Of course, this gear on this character is a week old, I guess, or 2 weeks old, so I'm missing my cat of trinkets that I believe I got last week. But basically, the trinkets now have strength on them, which is awesome for us in general stats. I'm not really sure how the PvP power is going to work. You can actually stack this with gems. I may do an update if people are interested in how the stat conversions and what they need to be stacking. I may do another guide on that. But for now, we're just kind of doing a prep guide for 5.0 and showing you some of the new stuff. But like I said, there may be more stuff coming out later depending on how Star Wars picks up or what I'm playing. Just let me know in the comments if you want to know more about the stats and what we should be stacking. I can do a lot of research and investigate more. I've done some preliminary testing, and for now it's still looking like strength is going to be our main stat for PvE and PvP. There's another thing, they're trying to adjust what you're using mastery to haste stacking also, depending on dual wielding or two-handers. So I've been doing a lot of testing with that. I'm still not 100% sure, but like I said, if you guys are more interested on the stat stacking and different things like that, let me know in the comments and I'll do a update video. Be sure to subscribe so you get to see that video. So we've had a few changes in the stats, like I was saying, and now we'll see our one-shot macro, and see the adjustment, you know, in damage you're going to be seeing. Which I've had some 80k hits on dummies, which you know is going to be lower on PvP targets. But that's still looking promising. You know, for being able to get some really good burst to finish the target off. 50k hit right there with no trinkets. Get some quick ring power built up. So some pretty big hits there from the training dummy. You know, they've adjusted the rotation a little bit. So Howling Blast, they really want you to only use this when it procs. I accidentally wasted a couple of Frost Strikes there. But with the macro running with PvP trinket or vice versa, if you have a PvE trinket proccing, you're going to see anywhere from 60 to probably around 90k depending on your gear, maybe even 100 if you have better gear than me, which I know some people will. I'm still missing a few cata pieces for PvP, so you could possibly get a 100k hit, you know, with the new one-shot macro, and given that people have 137k health, but then you got to count resilience in. You also have a little bit of setup time getting runic to be able to displace those Frost Strikes and Obliterates with Killing Machine. So you're going to have them down to a quarter life. You could possibly finish them off with one shot after a little bit of setup time with the one-shot macro. So that's basically going to do it, guys. We went over most of the highlighted changes. Like I said, if you want to know more in-depth stuff about stats, I will definitely do more testing, more research, and come up with a better solution for that. But that's going to do it for the talents and looking at our one-shot macro. I hope you enjoyed this guide. Also, thanks, guys, for all the views. It's been 1 year, and I couldn't see picking another game for my 1-year video other than where it started. So thanks for all the views, thanks for all the subscriptions, all the subs, you know, and I will talk to you guys later in another video.